Next weekend, Donald Trump is going to be doing a town hall on CNN, a network now partially owned by a major right-wing billionaire. Seems to be a lot of that going around, you know. And it seems to me that this is an attempt by CNN to make money, obviously. I mean, this is, you know, Donald Trump is a ratings magnet, right? Let's just admit it. If you put his name in a headline, the headline gets more clicks. If you put him on TV, people watch. It's an old axiom in news and in publishing. You know, people slow down for fistfights and car wrecks. And Donald Trump is both. And so, you know, CNN is trying to make some money here. But in the process, in my opinion, they are normalizing fascism. And I don't think this is a good idea. The question is, what do you do about it? We've been warned about fascism for some considerable time now. Back in the 1920s, people were warning about what was going on with Mussolini's Italy and then Hitler's Germany in the 1930s. And then, of course, we figured it out in the 1940s, and it kind of went away for a while, and now it's back with a vengeance. And, in 1944, in fact, you had Vice President Henry Wallace warning us all that fascism was going to come to America in an American guise, and that it would be all about lying to people. That the key, the thing that fascists do is basically lie. Vice President Wallace, April 9th, 1944, in the New York Times, he says, the really dangerous fascists are not those hooked up directly or indirectly with the Axis. The dangerous American fascist is the man who wants to do in the United States in an American way what Hitler did in Germany in a Prussian way. His method is to poison the channels of public information. With a fascist, the problem is never how best to present the truth to the public, but how best to use the news to deceive the public into giving the fascist and his group more money or more power. Well, surprise, surprise, here we are. He goes on to say, and he points it out, you know, how at the core of fascism is always hate and bigotry. People say, well, you know, that's been around in America for a long, long time. Well, yeah, it was. The Confederacy was a fascist state. So anyway, here's what Vice President Henry Wallace said in 1944. I think this was prescient about Donald Trump and the Jeremiad against black voters and banned books and drag shows and critical race theory and queer people. And anyhow, Vice President Wallace says, and I quote, "The symptoms of fascist thinking are colored by environment and adapted to immediate circumstances, but always and everywhere they can be identified by their appeal to prejudice and by the desire to play upon the fears and vanities of different groups in order to gain power. It is no coincidence that the growth of modern tyrants has, in every case, been heralded by the growth of prejudice. It may be shocking to some people in this country to realize that, without meaning to do so, they hold views in common with Hitler when they preach discrimination." He went on to say the American fascists are most easily recognized by their deliberate perversion of truth and facts. Their newspapers and propaganda carefully cultivate every fissure of disunity, every crack in the common front against fascism. They use every opportunity to impugn democracy. And then he wraps up his piece saying, they claim to be super patriots, but they would destroy every liberty guaranteed by the Constitution. You'll recall, by the way, Donald Trump has called for the Constitution to be set aside. Back to Henry Wallace. They demand free enterprise, but they are the spokesman for monopoly and vested interest. Their final objective, toward which all their deceit is directed, is to capture political power so that, using the power of the state and the power of the market simultaneously, they may keep the common man in eternal subjection. So what do we do about this? Well, you'll recall Karine Jean-Pierre back last year, August of last year, made a statement from the White House. She's the official White House spokesperson. And she told reporters, and I quote, "I was very clear when laying out and defining what MAGA Republicans have done. And you look at the definition of fascism and you think about what they're doing in attacking our democracy, this is what it is. It's very clear." That same week, Joe Biden had called the Republicans semi-fascists. This predictably produced a shriek of outrage from the GOP. which issued a formal press release saying this was despicable. So my thoughts on this? Touched a nerve? Good. Let them squeal. These guys, you know, they will be the first to tell you Hitler gave fascism a bad name, and not because he killed 6 million Jews, but because he lost World War II in the minds of American fascists. It is time to call a fascist a fascist. And speaking of CNN's upcoming attempt to rehabilitate Trump with a mostly MAGA audience town hall moderated by a reporter who got her start at Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller, it's time to call fascist enablers exactly what they are too, which is fascist enablers.